From Grogu's new hovering pram and a thriving Navarro, the triumphant return of Ahmed Best and setting up Admiral Thrawn's return. The Mandalorian's third season is chock full of hidden Star Wars lore and Easter eggs. And here are the best ones so far. I'm kicking it off with Grogu's new and updated hovering pram, and he looks as adorable as ever in it. It turns out that Mando happily spent a bunch of credits modifying his adoptive son's pram, and for good reason. The new design has a dark, monochromatic look that mirrors the aesthetic of the Razor Crest. It's also modified to fit into the N1 Starfighter's back seat, and allows Grogu greater flexibility in getting in and out of the ship. Plus, it lets him zip around more efficiently now, so I'd say the modifications are a win. Anyway, Episode 1 featured a lot more Easter eggs and references that paid off from Seasons 1 and 2. And a major payoff was seeing Navarro thrive under new leadership. Ever since Greef Karga became the new magistrate, the city has undergone vast improvements, including a brighter, more colorful visual aesthetic, and the return of familiar protocol droids, including one that looks like a white-colored version of C-3PO. But other than that, the city is now more peaceful than it's ever been, and it's finally free of bounty hunters and pirates. But one species in particular that was able to prosper and increase in population was the Kowakian monkey lizards. They're a lively bunch, and you can see them hanging out in a tree as Mando and Grogu pass by. And I, for one, was really happy to see them, because in Season 1, they were captured, caged, and cooked alive. There's a scene where a bunch of them watch in horror as another is roasted alive right next to them. It was a brutal representation of a harmless species. So I'm glad the showrunners decided to include this little tidbit in Season 3 to show us that they're alive and well. Now, this next Easter egg may not be as obvious to casual audiences, but longtime fans of the Clone Wars knew what it meant the second they saw it. I'm talking about the appearance of the Purrgil at the very beginning of the episode. Most people call them space whales, but they're much more than that. Grogu sees them casually flying past at hyperspace speeds and gets intimidated by them. I would be too if I saw giant whale-like creatures with tentacles racing by that quickly. But these massive creatures are native to hyperspace, and their appearance in The Mandalorian is an obvious hint for Ahsoka, which is scheduled to release sometime this year. But more importantly, they signal the return of Grand Admiral Thrawn and Ezra Bridger, two characters that fans last saw in Star Wars Rebels. And wouldn't you know it, we recently got a teaser for Ahsoka. It looks awesome, and as fans expected, Thrawn is officially returning to live-action Star Wars. And I can't wait. Now, in Episode 2, Mando and Grogu take their journey to the ruins of Mandalore, and they can't do it alone. So Peli Motto assigns an R5-D4 droid to help them navigate the planet's rough terrain, and to assess the atmosphere's breathability. This is a great reintroduction of a droid we've seen in the past. It first appeared in A New Hope as one of the droids on the Jawa Sand Cruiser. And here's a fun fact about the droid that most fans might not know about. In Ray Carson's The Red One, a Star Wars short story, it was revealed that the R5 droid intentionally sabotaged its own motivator because it believed that R2-D2 should go to the Lars family. So it might appear like a cowardly companion on the outside, but it's always been a supporter of the rebellion. Now, if we're doing throwbacks to the movies, why not the Clone Wars? There's a moment in Episode 2 where Bo-Katan references the OG Jedi and how they fought alongside each other. When she and Grogu get to Sundari and are trying to find Mando, she tells Grogu that she once knew many Jedi, and that they were brothers in arms together. It's a clear callback to when she was allied with Ahsoka Tano, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin Skywalker. And since Ahsoka's teasers dropped just recently, I should also mention that Bo-Katan has also been allied with Sabine Wren and Kanan Jarrus from Star Wars Rebels. I don't know if Katie Sackhoff will reprise her role in the upcoming series, but I hope there's a surprise cameo in there somewhere. Anyway, the biggest surprise comes in the end when Mando gets pulled under the living waters and Bo-Katan jumps in to rescue him. Swimming deeper and deeper into the waters, she finally witnesses the legendary Mythosaur, alive and well. The creature is the original apex predator of the planet, and the original Mandalore drove them to extinction. The Mythosaur's appearance in Episode 2 is a hint that there's a new age of the Mandalorians coming soon. And Episode 6 proved that, but I'll get into that in a bit. Now on to Episode 3's most significant reference, which forced Grogu to relive his past memories. The episode was filled with interesting Star Wars lore, including a callback to the Night of 1,000 Tears, a return to Coruscant, and the revelation that Bo-Katan was once a member of the original Death Watch. But the most interesting one was in the Armorer's Forge, when Grogu relives memories from Order 66. The Forge is a neat reference to Season 1, and also allowed fans to see flashes of Order 66 and the fact that Grogu was one of the few younglings who survived it. It also connected him to his father, Din Djarin, in a special way, since back in Season 1, he too relived traumatic memories while the Armorer forged Beskar metal into armor. And this leads me directly into Episode 4's best revelation and throwback to the prequels: the reintroduction of Ahmed Best into live-action Star Wars. This was one of the most heartwarming scenes in the season so far. And it's not because he plays the Jedi Master Kelleran Beck who saved Grogu from Order 66. No, it's because Ahmed is best known for playing Jar Jar Binks in the prequel trilogy. Unfortunately, the actor had to suffer through waves of hate and criticism from the fandom. Because, let's face it, Jar Jar Binks is arguably one of the most terribly written Star Wars characters ever. Anyway, I'm glad he's still a huge part of Star Wars, and as Grogu's savior no less. Now, Episode 5 was the same as Episode 4 in terms of Easter eggs and references. Carson Teva finally returned in a major way, rallying the Mandalorians to help Navarro. Dave Filoni's Trapper Wolf also made a brief cameo in the episode, along with Rick Famuyiwa as well as Deborah Chow. And more importantly, it also confirmed that Moff Gideon is alive when Carson investigates the destruction of a prison transport. But one of the most fun references was to James Cameron's 1986 classic Aliens. There's a scene in the end when Carson's astromech sends a probe into the New Republic shuttle, and the cinematography is almost a shot-for-shot recreation to a similar scene found in Aliens, paying homage to a sci-fi classic and further cementing Star Wars as a pop culture haven. Episode 7 was like a piñata filled with Easter eggs and awesome throwbacks. From featuring a new IG-12 droid that functions as an exoskeleton for Grogu, to finally revealing what happened on the Night of 1,000 Tears. It even introduced a new generation of stormtroopers clad in Beskar, who were tougher than any stormtrooper we've seen so far, save for the Dark Troopers. But one of the more important references was setting up Admiral Thrawn's return to Star Wars. Lucasfilm had already confirmed his return at Star Wars Celebration 2023, but Episode 7 ramped everything up. During the Imperial meeting, Captain Galad Paleon, who's basically Thrawn's right-hand man in Star Wars Rebels, announced that Thrawn's return is imminent, and that he's the one who'll ultimately restore the Empire's strength once again. So, from setting up Grand Admiral Thrawn's return to Star Wars, to Grogu's updated hovering pram and a prosperous Navarro, those were the best Easter eggs from The Mandalorian's 3rd season so far. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.